So can you tell us about your upbringing and how it shaped your creative vision? So what I want you to start is, I want you to just tell us who is Nthabi, and where is she from? Like what like who is she? Just get
Who
there and
is
then you're
she?
just gonna go on. Yeah, sure.
I love that. I wish I knew. I know my name, Nthabi Taukobong. I was born in Soweto, Baragwanath Hospital to be exact, and I grew up in Rockville. So that is my upbringing. I'm a product of the hood, and I grew up with both parents. We lived with my grandparents. I had an older brother at that stage. My younger brother wasn't born yet. Um, and yeah, we had parents who had three, four jobs each to make ends meet and trying to make sure that we broke out of the mindset. And I think that's what you're talking about, like Nalisha, to say, you're not a product of your environment. You're a product of what your environment is in here. It's not out there. So I think my father was constantly honest about that. He would have piano lessons for us, Eloish. He would organize for us to play tennis. He would take us to the airport to look at planes on weekends and choose your destination to say, where do you want to go? What's your flight? So there was always that thing that he had to create an environment for his kids to see themselves in any environment. He would make us waffles on the weekend. So by the time, it's almost like when you're a lotto winner and then you have this money and then you're shocked and then you die or you do stupid things. My father was making sure that he's laying the foundation so that when we are in the private schools, when we're living in the suburbs, as Tugang, it's not new. We've been doing piano lessons, we've been doing tennis lessons, we've been going to the airports, even though we didn't fly anyway. I knew what an airport looks like. So he was making sure that his hood children have exposure to everything and anything. That's my background.
Great. I love that you shared that interesting story about the environment it shapes, because also environment definitely shapes your decision making. I recently
Yes.
had an amazing conversation with what was the person again? It's Kitty Nguyen. So we spoke of how there's like a story where scientists are having experiments, right? So it's a jar. There's a jar, right? And in a jar there are fleas, but the lid is closed
Mm-hmm.
there in the jar. So when the fleas are trying to escape out of the jar, they keep bouncing on top of they're bouncing on the
Hitting the top
lid,
of the
and then
lid.
they
Uh-huh.
yeah, and then they're falling back down. So scientists again, after a few minutes, they open the lid, and then the fleas, when they try to escape, they don't escape. They just end there. They don't
Mm,
escape over the yeah the
mm.
opening.
They even
They
end
just drop back
below
down.
because now they've restricted their view.
Yeah, yeah. So, but the crazy part of this whole scenario is that when the babies are also born, when all these fathers and mothers and all the ancestors are gone, when they also try to escape, even when there's no child, they just end up there and that limits
Mm, mm. So the limit
mental
becomes
limitation.
even hereditary. It becomes a legacy.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. The
Yes,
poverty
yes, yes.
mindset
So,
stays on to say, "Sqinala,
Skinala.
asigcini
So,
lapha."
I still in lab, but
Mm-mm.
there's a way forward. Also, there's another story where there's a father who was an alcoholic, and this father has two sons. And this one son becomes so highly successful. And he gets interviewed and he gets asked, "Why are you so successful? Like, what made you what made you leap to this, to this destiny, to this place you're
Mm,
in now? What
mm.
made you to become so successful?" And the son replies and says, "My father was an alcoholic." And the other son is going to be asked, what made you become a drug user? What made you become,
Mhm.
a bank robber and do all these filthy things, and stuff like that? And he said,
My father
my
was an
father
alcoholic.
was an alcoholic.
Mm.
So I think it's how you view
Yeah.
also your scenario and how you interpret the situation.
Yes. Yes.
So My other question for Nthabi is that what inspired you to pursue a career in interior design, especially at a time when the industry wasn't very diverse?
Oh, um, I love the assumption that we know what we're going to do, right? We don't know. And I think mine was following my passions. And I love this question because I didn't know what I was going to be studying. I didn't know what was inspiring me and how it'll all add up. So when it came, I think between standard 8, what is it called? Grade 10 and 12, clearly I was an artistic child. That was clear. I was not an academic child. So we'd go to the technicons, we'd go to the colleges and see what professions we'd choose. So at that point, I had art, jewelry, graphic design, interior design, architecture as options of careers that I was thinking of pursuing. Come later on, after matric, still haven't decided, still haven't narrowed it down. I do know that I'm passionate about hotels. I love hotels. I love the lobbies. I love the music, the decor, the flowers that they use. So Royal Hotel in KZN had interviews for admission into hotel management, I think at that stage. And Nthabi goes thinking, there's my career. I'm going to go in. Thank God, somebody who was interviewing me for this career choice was just listening to me how I was explaining why I chose hotel management, what did I expect to see of the career. And he pulled me aside. He actually took me out of the meeting and said, I don't think you're looking at this hotel management. I think you're looking at designing hotels. Because here we wake up at 4 a.m., we have to clean toilets, we have to clean people's rooms, you've got to be on standby. And I was like, oh, that's not me. That's not me. So he helped me figure out my career path to say, Sisi, I think now you want to design hotels. I don't think you want to be the front line and receive guests and welcome guests and check guests in. That is not your thing. So he helped me steer to say, all right, interior design could do that. If you want to, you can specialize in the designing of hotels. It was the first time I'd even heard that. I was like, oh, really? So I don't have to work in a hotel. I can design a hotel. He was like, yeah. Speak to architectural department or interior design department and unpack that a little bit further. Come registration for Natal Technicon to study, I'm in the architectural queue because I think, yes, my parents will be proud. That's the one that sounds the best to do. I'm sitting there, I've registered for interior design and architecture. I'm looking at the architectural students who are going to be future students and future companions with me, and they just don't look like me. They're standing in a line, they're wearing gray, white shirts. They just look prim and proper and ordinary. I looked across to the interior design students where I really want to be. They are lying on the grass. They have crazy fun colors. They are not conforming to the rule. They are artistically splayed out, waiting for their turn to register for them. Langelihle, just like that, I decided I'm in the wrong queue. I flipped, went to join the interior design students, and I was like, you know what? I don't know where this road leads, but you guys feel more like my tribe. Feel like the people I want to see for the next 3-4 years, for the rest of my life. I want to look at those people and be in that environment of creative thinking. I don't want to be in people where they are queuing up, choosing their destiny like that. That's how I decided. So I think it's a little bit of inspiration from that guy at the hotel, and also just going in within yourself, just like what feels right, what's anchoring me in this thought process and decision making. I had chosen architecture to make other people happy, to have the responsible choice of a career, to have a good standing, when I knew deep down my creative soul wasn't resonating with that. When I saw the ones who'd made the brave decision, those are the ones you can say, what inspired you? They were already in the queue that I wanted to be in. I was a little bit scared to say, oh, do I even have permission to choose what I really want to do? Those ones were like, you know what? Let's just jump now. So luckily for me, it was the right time to do that split decision. And yeah, I don't have any major regrets, because careers can always be wound around to the destination that you really want.
I love your explanation of just going to this process of choosing a career there, and then you're like not knowing that, okay, this is not the pathway I was focused on. This is the pathway I was focused on. It's like the analogy I was explaining to Megan Falone. So I'm explaining this analogy in terms of saying it's like you're in a cinema. So there's 150 seats and there's 138 people, right? So it's 138 people and there's 150 seats in the cinema. So you're now entering there, you're late in the movie. You're trying to find a seat where it's yours, because now while you're still searching for it, you're not actually content, because people are gonna be like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, just go to your
Just
seats. And
take
you're
any
also not
seat.
just
Yes.
comfortable. Yeah. You'll be comfortable once you're sitting there and you're watching that movie unfold, that cinema, until you're comfortable in your position, in your place, in your career, in your choice of entrepreneurial routes, in your destiny, I shall say, in your passion. So that's the analogy I was explaining. So it's a great interpretation that you just gave to us. So were there true were there any defining moments early in your career that gave you the confidence to keep pushing forward?
Defining moments early in my career. Yeah, I don't think the career is where I push forward. I think how I was brought up with the parents and the upbringing that I have, we are go-getters. Be it how I look after my house, my car, my personal space. I don't need an external drive. I'm always pushing forward with whatever I'm doing. So banginusele ngisasemncane ekhaya ukuthi, girl, if you want to bloom, you must be fertile in the environment that you're in. It's not like, do I have inspiration for my career? There's no option. We were told ekhaya ukuthi, listen, we don't have limitless money. We have money for your first qualification, and then you must make whatever you make out of it. There's no backfooting. There's no what is it? Money waiting to rescue me as a Pumekai. I'm my own future. We were given on your marks, get set, go. If you want to stagger in the way, along the way, and say, oh, where was my career inspiration? Tina siya gijima. That's how I even raise my son. That it's not career dependent. You need to be the force within you. You need to be the mood that you carry. It's not like, oh my gosh, then I hit a little bit of a in my career, then I had to go home. Really? You have that comfort? And I mean, even in that understanding of my drive comes from myself and not my career, there were challenges in my career that I had to then say, okay, where's my inner voice, inner strength to lift me up over the challenges? There were days where I was like, yo, guys, I'm not waking up. I'm not giving up. And then I'll just have like a vision of my parents and what they had to go through to make sure that I had those first footings or steppings. There's no way I'm going to fail them. There's no way I'm going to fail myself. So we push on. We push on. I think it's comforting to be saying, oops, I had a little bit of oopsie there. No, sir, I'm a soldier.
So people mostly talk about starting their company, starting their business, and they think they're going to be instantly successful, or they won't just come across that baggage, that barrier that not leap forward in. But there's always going to be hassle. I want to ask you, like, what was your biggest challenge in launching Ditau Interiors?
Well, I think first of all, the backstory, you got to understand that Ditau Interiors was my second name. My original name was Moako Interiors, and whoa, did I see my ass with that one? It was challenging. I tried to open up a showroom. I was doing hotels, and I got paid really well. And then I decided to say, you know what? I'm feeling my strength. I'm big. People are noticing me. I want to open up a showroom. I hadn't done the survey and understanding of what it takes to run retail. How do you cover your monthly rentals? What's the staff capacity that you need? How much product are you carrying at risk and how much are you paying for? How much are you going to get suppliers to loan you, and what happens on the months when nobody's buying? You know, I didn't have that breakdown of understanding in the career that I saw. I mean, I could tell that this is where I need to grow. Also partially pushed by ego, I think, because when you become that recognized Black designer and everybody wants to know, everybody wants to see you, you push yourself beyond where you need to be pushing yourself. So I did that leap into Ditau Interiors, and then I decided to call the showroom HM International because I wanted to sound global. And I had big flags. Everything was costing, I think those flags were 20,000 Rand at that time, which was 20 years ago. Crazy money, which you don't need to do. You need to put that money making sure that it can grow your business, not flagging and doing the superficial call to attention. And then I hit rock bottom hard, like fell on my face. Luckily, one of my brothers is an investment banker, so he stepped in, helped me realign my business, put in the systems in place, and then from there, we decided to put it in the stable of Ditau, being family businesses. So we have Ditau Communications, Ditau Properties, and I have Ditau Interiors. So that's how that name came about. It wasn't like, la la la, success, success, success. It was because creative people not necessarily have business understanding. And I put the fault on education for that, because we're being taught how to skill up in terms of our creativity. But at those back end days, they weren't telling us how to maintain our businesses in that creative space that we've chosen. So you would have this empire, you would have this visually pleasing thing, but no business sense behind it. So we were just like plummeting. And then you have to realize that, okay, if my education is short there, by God, let me fill in where I need to up my skill and understand this business side of my creativity.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And congratulations on your success and everything.
No, it's not success. It's wounds.
It
You know,
is.
when you see a soldier come back, you might not have won the war, but the fact that you survived and you've got scars and proof of life, that's all that matters. I don't think we need to leave believing that success is, I made it, I'm surviving. You know, it's messy at the back, but I'm still here and I'm trying every day.
Amazing. How did you position your brand in such a competitive industry?
Again, by trial and error. So when I first started, I was working for a hotel company, and we were doing 5-star hotels, which was a great background because it made me understand how those people live, experience, and enjoy their surroundings, right? So I knew that I'm a luxury designer. I'm a designer for the few. So I started traveling overseas to make sure that my luxury understanding increased. And I remember around my 40th birthday, I went to Florence, Italy to study luxury brands, like specifically luxury brands. In that class, so I've left South Africa, I'm in Italy. In one of our early sessions, our lecturer goes around the room saying, where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? And, you know, we have Russia, Thailand, Turkey. Everybody was in the room, and me, South Africa. And he says, I know most of you are here in Italy to study the way we do things, our luxury brands, our products, and way of doing things. I want to challenge you to go and find that uniqueness in your own countries. I was floored. Like, what? After paying so much money to come to Italy, tell me to go back to South Africa and learn my story from there. But that opened me up. And I was like, oh my gosh, we can't keep on replicating and trying to be other people. The story of our brands, even in luxury, starts from where we are. So while I was still studying there, I started researching South Africa, heritage, culture. What's our story of excellence that we can bring into a brand? And that's how that got birthed, to say, Vuga sisi, ayikho phesheya, illa Igwena, was from that lecture. Of course, earlier on, I'd also had the grace, luck, and providence of timing to have done the Blue Train. And after doing all those expensively gorgeous 5-star hotels, the company that I was working with was given the awarded the contract to design the Blue Train, just as Tata Mandela was coming out of prison. So the Blue Train needed a new story. They were saying in the past apartheid, it was gold, yellow, and blue. Now we wanted to reflect the new South Africa. Nthabi, as the Black interior designer, young Black interior designer in this company, you are being pushed at the forefront to narrate that creative language. So I had to research African artists, African accessories, what is offensive, what can be used, what is culturally being able to be brought into an interior. So I already was like, wow. So there I was, a child from the township wanting to remove any remembrance of where I come from and emulate this new life that I was living in. Now this train comes back and says, no, go back and research your culture, your history, your creativity. So my eyes were just being opened up as I was trying to run away from my own story. My story kept on pulling me back to say, bring us into your design, bring us into your brand. There's merit to your story too. The world needs to hear African stories of beauty and success. So that's how my brand ethics chose me. I was not even aware of it. It kept on calling me back to say, you're lost, Miss Luxury Seeker. There's luxury in Africa. There's luxury of time, good weather. Those are all luxuries. I was looking for the superficial luxury, and my career pulled me back to say, wake up. There's true luxuries, and we want you to be a pioneer of that. So I think it's also a calling, right? Because calling sometimes pulls you, even if you're not aware of it. It's not necessarily me having the sense and understanding to say, oh, brand strategy, oh, I'm going to choose this path. Nah, I was nowhere near that wisdom. I was pulled by the nose to say,
If it's a calling, it will keep on calling.
It'll keep on calling, and it'll find you in your palatial environments to say, no, sis, you've got a bigger story to tell.
It's great. Okay. What advice would you give to young Black entrepreneurs breaking into industries where reputation is limited?
Where reputation is limited.
Sure.
Reputation or representation?
Reputation.
What do you mean by that?
Where it's very scarce to find young Black entrepreneurs to pivot in those industries, right? For me,
okay. Representation.
Yeah, in those cases. Yes.
All right. So I had this when I was young. I don't enter a room with the obvious. I'm female, I'm Black. That's a given. I can't even change that. But try get me out of that room. I know my shit. I know my story. I know my excellence. And I'm a game changer. When somebody opens the room, I bring everything in. My energy, my punctuality, my creativity, my deliverables. You can't get me out. Neither can you ignore me. So I think to my young Black entrepreneurs that are coming in, skill up. Make sure we stay in those rooms. Forget the color, forget the disabilities and the disadvantages that we have. Make yourself unmovable in the spaces that you can have access to. Make them not forget you. And that has to go beyond color. It's respect, it's charisma, it's charm, it's knowledge. That's what keeps you in the room. So what if you're Black? Is that going to be a disability? Hell no. So what if you're Chinese? So what if you are short, if you're fat? Those can't be your limits. You cannot keep on putting that same glass vase that you were describing. You can't keep on putting that on yourself. The world can decide where they want to cage you, but you are a free bird. You need to fly. So your flying must put you in any scenario and you stay in there and you deliver based on what you can bring to the table. And if that table doesn't work, build your own damn table.
Great. What are some books that change your personal life and business perspective?
Ooh, that's a big one. Can I come back to that? I don't know them off by heart.
Okay, you can come back to that one.
Okay.
We just skipped this one, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, you paved the way for many in design entrepreneurs. How does mentorship and giving back play a role in your journey?
Sure. I think I'm all about that. Mentorship and what else?
And giving back.
And giving back. Oh,
sharing
okay.
wisdom.
Yes.
So,
So I wrote a book just around COVID time, 2019, I think it was published, called The Real Interior. And I was just telling my story. I was just like, ugh. Everybody needs to know what a designer goes through, the journey of a Black interior designer, all them tick, 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 tick. But there was deeper conversations I was having with creatives. And that led me to say, I need to take some of my chapters and break them down into courses or workbooks that creatives can use and have access to. My team was insisting that those workbooks must be charged for. And I knew, because remember, I keep on saying to you, I'm responding to my calling. I knew that those workbooks had to be free because they must be accessible to everybody. There mustn't be any barrier of entry or barrier of access to that information in my creative legacy. So I'm always aware that in my blessings, remember that as an interior designer growing up, I couldn't find other designers of color to mentor me, to listen to me, to complain, to say, yo, I had to catch 3 taxis and a bus to get to work. There was nobody who was going through the same thing. All the interior designers of privilege and lighter ethnicity were soaring. They had cars, they could get to work by 8 o'clock, they could go to sites, they could go to see suppliers. I couldn't. I had to. So I knew that when I'm further on in my career, I want to be accessible. So I sit on the board of the IID, Institute of Interior Designer. I've made sure that within there we started the Black Interior Designers Forum so that Black interior designers can be heard. We have challenges that we want to make sure that everybody is sensitive to. And it's almost my duty as the forefront leader who went down this career to come back and say, you know what's above or what's ahead. Let me tell you, let me warn you. Let me help you not have to close the showroom if I can share with you my too big too soon, don't quit. You know, there's always ways that I'm motivating and encouraging people on my platforms just to say I'm accessible. There's workbooks. I give talks to students, especially because I feel like if we can catch the youth, the young, when they start off, then it's easier for them to handle it when they're up there, as opposed to manje uzama ubaba omunye ukuthi hey mfowethu, do this with your career. It's a bit harder. But if you can catch them while they're still choosing which career to do, while they're still in the early ages of their bloom, then you share wisdom if they're open to it in a way that's accessible and easy for them is a big thing. I'm a champion believer of that. It's not all about money. It's also about community, building a tribe of like-minded souls and creative entrepreneurs to say, it's great to be doing it by yourself, but if you can create platforms for more to join, for more to succeed, by all means, I'm the leader of that. I'm the believer of that.
Okay, we're gonna move to the books, or
oh yes,
we're
yes,
gonna
yes.
just dive into.
We're gonna move to the books.
Okay.
So one big book that I swear by is The War of Art. And I love the way it's phrased because the war of art spells out what happens in the creative brain. Because I think there is a East philosophy that's the art of war, which teaches you the techniques and killer tactics to use in war situations. The war of art talks about the battle that an artist goes through. the war of art. So that became almost my Bible to say, I'm not crazy. Oh, there's many of us who battle with our gift, so to speak. And it gives you just techniques of how to support and grow yourself in your chosen career. My other book it's called From Strength to Strength. And I love that book as well because it talks about overcoming all. You don't die or quit because this challenge knocked you out. Strength to strength is a sign of how you rise, like Maya Angelou, still I rise. No matter what I face, still I rise. Another book, Langelitha, that I swear by is The Second Mountain, I think. And that book found me just when I was having my own career meltdown, career crisis, where I'm just like, I can't relate to my career anymore. There must be something else I'm supposed to be doing. How many curtains and furniture am I going to do in my life? And The Second Mountain was like, no, you're actually right on track. Because what you do on The Second Mountain is you let go of the hustle, proving, gotta have the black car, gotta have the big house, gotta show them I'm branded. Now you are either on The Second Mountain where you're giving back, where you're teaching, you're accessing the knowledge pool that you have and making it available for the first mountaineers to say, I'm at this peak. And what I love about Second Mountain is that it's not saying that's the last mountain. It's just saying, be aware where you are in your creative journey and that there must be pause, reflection, and giving back throughout the process of life. So those are my books.
Our last question before we close off. It was nice meeting you and thank you for actually showing up.
Thank you to you
Advice
too
you'd give.
for
No,
showing
thank you so
up.
much. Thank you. Advice you'd give to your 18-year-old self.
To my 18-year-old self. So I think I'd say to her, pace yourself. Everything that you want is already there. And guess what? You're going to have it all. But pace yourself. Kancane, kancane, one step at a time. There's no need to leap and jump. Gradual success becomes manageable success, becomes also maintained success. I had burnout at the age of 35. That's how hard I pushed myself. So if I could go back to her and say, dear creative soul, pace yourself and spend time getting to know yourself, your uniqueness, because that is where the mastery and the magic of your essence helps your business. It's you. It's always been you. It's always been you that you've been searching for. So if you can take the time to spend and sit with Nthabi to say, what makes you tick? What do you love? You will then be able to connect the own dots that will get you to that future that you've been wanting.
I love that you mentioned that because you mentioned small wins are important, small steps, because our brains are made up of, receptors. So when dopamine receptors, so when you have those wins, small wins, you're beginning to believe yourself that you can achieve more. But if you just fail to prosper on just those one, you just fail to lose those small wins. You just keep on failing. You'll never feel like you can achieve.
You don't believe,
What's exactly? You don't believe. Yeah, I don't believe.
So if you can gather
thank you
those
so
small
much.
wins and they all add up, then before you know it, you've built your castle, you've built your empire.
Build your empire.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been lovely.